Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. I actually forgot the applause. Thanks for tuning into the show. You know how much I love you. I appreciate you. Heart bubbles to all of you. Do me a favor, share the show, text it out to a friend, share it to your social media. I need your support. I also have a separate show, a completely separate, completely different show on Rumble. And it's all one word, The Scott Ford Show, and it is on Rumble. I would love it if you went over there and subscribed as well. Today's show is going to be about the importance of forgiving yourself. And I learned this myself just a few days ago. I certainly did not have a panic attack, but I was laying in bed the other night, and I don't know what it was, but you know how you say, like, when you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes? That kind of happened to me. Now, I didn't die, thank God. I'm still here. But I had a reflection, and I had a reflection in a weird way of, like, everything, certainly not everything I've done wrong in my life, but a lot of things that I did wrong. And I know especially it was mainly focused on, there was a certain time frame, like right out of high school and kind of like until I joined the Army. And maybe even a little into the Army, possibly, probably. Where I was making bad decisions, doing the wrong things. And I noticed for years, I've been really hard on myself over some of the dumb mistakes. Now, I didn't kill anybody. I didn't like steal a car. I didn't do any prison time, nothing like that. But you know, it's weird. You look back at who you were, and sometimes you forget who you've become. And I never let go. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm kind of self-reflecting. I'm trying to figure this out. But I know I held a lot of guilt. And again, it wasn't like really bad things, but it was just, I'm a different person now, and I should be, you know, several years later. If you haven't grown, if you haven't gained wisdom, that's a bad thing, obviously. And I guess maybe the reason I bring it up is I know people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who still act like they're in their 20s. And I don't mean that in a good way, because there's a youthful quality to that. I still maintain and hold my youthful qualities, and I'm hopefully always going to. But I'm talking about the immaturity levels of just continuing to make stupid decisions and following up with that with stupid actions, and then never learning from that. In other words, they might do, I can't even think of an example, but like, let's say they lie about so-and-so, and then many, many years later, they're still lying about so-and-so type of things. You have to grow. You have to be always constantly working towards being a better person, because this ends. You've all heard me talk about the bookends. Our lives are bookends. You start here, and how many books, how many stories can we fit into our life, and how big is this bookshelf going to be, depending on how you take care of yourself, your genetics, your beliefs, and you know, things like that, exercise programs. But like, the goal is trying to get this book end far as you possibly can, right? Unfortunately, some people it's here, some people get to live a very long life. But you should always know that this is coming to an end at one point. And I don't mean that in a morbid way, but in a realistic way. You're working towards trying to be, I guess in a weird way, like the superior version of yourself. You're always trying to work on being the best you can possibly be. And that's what I actually had a conversation with my wife, and I told her that. I don't think she was quite getting what I was saying. So hopefully I can explain it better here. But I forgave myself. I was laying in bed, I was going over all these things, and the guilt, and I'm like, but I'm not that person anymore. I can honestly say I've transformed myself in many ways. And it came with not only the forgiveness, but it came with now you've got rid of that baggage. Go now, go. Like, live. Be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. So not only forgiving yourself, but now go. In other words, I guess I'll give examples. And these aren't specific examples. They're truly not. I'm just throwing things out there. You can't claim you're an honest person. Now, you should be honest. If someone asks you something, unless it's like a surprise birthday party, like, are you throwing a surprise birthday party for me? I think it's fine to lie. My daughter refuses to eat vegetables, that kind of thing. So sometimes I will hide certain kind of nutrients in her milk. So she's drinking the nutrients, and it's very subtle. And she'll ask me, Dad, did you put something in my milk? And I'll be, no. And I realize, like, I'm lying, but I'm lying for a good cause. So I think sometimes lies are important. Listen, if your wife says, do I look fat in this dress? Go ahead and lie. See what I'm saying? Now we're taking another turn here. But sometimes lies are important. But my point being, you can't be a liar. You can't claim to be honest. You're an honest person, right? And then steal pens at work. See? That's an example. Now I'm saying, like, look, have I ever taken a pen home from work? Yeah. I worked at the same place for almost 22 years. But not intentional. Like, I just might get home and then, oh, I got a pen in my pocket. You know, that kind of thing. But if you're intentionally doing things you shouldn't be doing, intentionally, and then I guess it's a civil war within yourself. If you're saying you're an honest person, but then you make these justifications, well, it's okay to steal that. Is it? So you should always be working towards being the best version of yourself you can possibly be, especially when you get to certain points in your life. This is going to end. We all know that. Push that out as far as you can go. Do the things you need to do to make sure you have an extended life. But I guess I'm at the point where I'm like, I am not that kind of person. And I don't want to be that kind of person. And so you have to be consistent with it. So I guess I ask my audience as well as myself. If my daughter says, Dad, did you put anything in my drink, like healthy wise, like I try to sneak vitamin type things in her drinks. Is it okay to say, no, of course I didn't, honey, but knowing that it's for good intentions? Or is that even an extension of me trying to fool myself? Now, I tend to believe, like, again, using the surprise birthday party. If someone says, hey, is so-and-so throwing a surprise party for me, and you know the answer, but you go, no, I haven't heard anything. Is that bad or is that good? Now, I tend to say, that's okay, but is it? So I'm asking you guys that, if you don't mind commenting below. So you have to learn from your mistakes, in other words. You have to first point out the mistakes and then learn from them. But then, and take positive actions too, of course, but then you have to learn to forgive yourself. I think my problem was for so many years, I was holding on to things, like I said, that I did in the past that aren't even really that bad, but for me, they were that bad. I'm like, I'm not that kind of person. I would never do so-and-so anymore. But I think the other day what I did, and it was like a weight lifted off of me, is I forgave myself because I'm truly not that person anymore. And then I can move forward now going, I'm not that person. I'm not that kind of person. I would never do that kind of thing anymore. Yeah, I may have done whatever, but I don't do that anymore, and I wouldn't do that anymore. Growing up, people, becoming mature. So realize you can forgive yourself, and you should forgive yourself for some of the things you've done in the past. But you can't really truly forgive yourself if you still do those things. So you have to first acknowledge, I did some stupid things in my past. I would never do that anymore. And then you can forgive yourself truly and then move on. And that's what I did. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. Because that extra baggage is probably holding you back from being the best version of yourself that you can be. And that's what I want everyone to do. Be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. And that's what I hope the show teaches you to do. And it's a learning process, because the things that I'm talking about are things that I've done, things that I'm doing, and things that I'm working on, and I'm sharing it with you guys. This is almost like a personal journal for my walk into self-improvement. So I hope you join me on this journey. I hope you share the show out, text it to a friend, share it to your social media. And with that, my friends, Heart bubbles, I love you. And enjoy your life.
Daddy, Daddy, you're so awesome. Daddy, Daddy, you're so cool. Yeah! I love you, Daddy.